Hare Krishna. Just give me a minute. Let me open Śrī Upadeśāmṛta. Tat karma pravartana. No, chapter 11 actually. But yeah, for the karmis mentioned by the Lord. Okay, let me trace that out. Okay. Okay, let's resume from this. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. For the karmis mentioned by the Lord in this verse, Trivarga is the only prescribed occupation. Those who become indifferent and attain jnana for them. Now, for those who have become indifferent and attain jnana, there is no longer a need for Trivarga activities. They give up those activities and become eligible for sannyas with dry knowledge. Dry knowledge means with that sort of knowledge which is aimed at attaining an impersonal realization. Those who are faithful in hearing the topics of the Lord after receiving His mercy on the strength of their accumulated pious activities from many lifetimes are no longer attached to karma. They are called Vaishnavas. Among them, those who are grihasthas enjoy whatever artha they obtain while practicing dharma for the purpose of liberation, not for the purpose of sense gratification. This artha helps them purely maintain their lives in the favorable cultivation of Krishna consciousness with the purpose of understanding the absolute truth. With the purpose of understanding includes with the purpose of realizing the absolute truth. In this, the difference between karma and spiritual activities can be seen. Therefore, to attain the mercy of the Lord, a grihastha Vaishnava should accept the divisions of varnashrama and along with his wife practice dharma, artha, kama and moksha in order to maintain his life. It means he has to follow the same rules and regulations that are meant for the karmis. Of course, only those which are essential, nitya naimittika, not kamya. There are three divisions of activities in the varnashrama scheme. There are some which are meant to be performed routinely, nitya. These are obligatory. Then these are obligatory and routine. There are daily duties, or those which are meant to be periodically performed. These are obligatory duties. Then there are certain circumstantial duties, naimittika karma. These grihastha Vaishnavas, they are obliged to also carry them out according to the varnashrama system. Then there are another type of activities known as kamya karma. If you have this particular material desire, then you engage in this particular material prescribed duty, demigod worship, or particular materialistic rituals by which you can be benefited in this life or next life materially. These are called kamya karma, and there is a prominence of material desires in them, and therefore serious Vaishnavas, that too Vaishnavas who want to become qualified to attain the perfection of sadhana bhakti in one lifetime, they avoid them. So in that way, one carries out his material duties in the mode of goodness He does not carry them out in a mode of passion or mode of ignorance. With such pure characteristics, he should hear, chant, and remember the names, forms, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord with full surrender. With full surrender. Sharanagati. For this, it will be worth reading Sharanagati, the songbook of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The wife should also always endeavor for spiritual perfection with the help of subordinate women, such as her sister and daughter. There is no illicit conduct in this. So there will not be any association with women. There is no illicit conduct in husband dealing with his wife within the boundaries of dharma kama, for the purpose of liberation. That consideration is very, very important. Does it bind me? Does it give me more misery? Does it give me less misery? Anything which gives me more misery should be avoided. And in the long run, many things which apparently are very pleasing tend to swallow us, completely they catch us, like a large fish that swallows a small fish. So therefore, in household life, there are so many rules and regulations which it would be wise to follow very carefully. So then, if one associates with his wife within the boundaries of dharma, in the modern goodness, in order to progress from Shraddha to Prema without regress, then such association between a devotee man and his wife is not Sri Sangha. Because he's not a man who's not dominated by a woman. A man who's dominated by a woman as Traina Purushas, the association of a man dominated by a woman should be avoided. Bhaktivinoda is very clear about it in other places. But this person is not dominated by a woman. He is dominated by Krishna. And the wife also agrees to be dominated by Krishna. So this is completely on the spiritual platform. But there is always a chance that we may easily fall down into materialistic association with the wife. Therefore, one has to be very careful. Therefore, whether one is a householder or renunciate, all practitioners should totally give up the association with women. So, that association means sensual or emotional association with the woman. It is not duty-based, sattvic association within the boundaries of dharma in order to progress in Krishna consciousness. That is called Sri Sangha. And for women, Purusha Sangha, that is a problem. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has elsewhere noted that. I must also add that there is no place for homosexuality, lesbianism, and so on in Vedic Dharma, what to speak of progress in Krishna consciousness. The devotee should carefully give up the above mentioned Sangha in the form of association, samparka. Then there is another type of association known as asakti, attachment. Now let us consider Sangha in the form of attachment. Attachments are of two kinds. Attachments for prejudices and attachment for assets. First, I will discuss the attachment for prejudices. There are two types of prejudice, ancient and current. By prejudice we mean samskara, mental impressions, which we consider to be axiomatically valid. There are different things that we like, there are different things that we don't like. This is what we refer to as a person's material nature. So attachment to one's own material nature, one's material mental nature. Either that mental impression could be formed recently, meaning in this very life, or it is coming from the past, many, many lifetimes back. The conditioned living entity has been performing fruitive activities and endeavoring for knowledge since time immemorial, and the prejudices that have developed in his subtle body as a result are called ancient prejudices. Those prejudices are known as one's nature, swabhava. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, na kartrutvam na karmani lokasjati prabhu, na karma phala samyogam swabhavastu pravartate. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Literally, all this is enacted by his swabhava. Magadeva Vidyabhushan comments, Anadi pravritta pradhana vasanatra swabhava shabdena. Wait, there's something. Correct, let me just trace out. This is 5.14. Swabhavastu pravartate. Okay, just give me a minute. Anadi pravritta pradhana vasanatra swabhava shabdena ukta pradhanika dehadiman jivaha karayita karta cheti na viviktasya tarpam. That is the exact text. The primordial material desire that is active since time immemorial is called one's nature. Due to such a desire, the living entity is supplied with material bodies and other paraphernalia. False identification with the bodies causes one to act, causes others to act, although this is not the pure soul's real constitution or nature. Again, from the Bhagavad Gita, Swabhava Jena Kaunteya Nibaddhasvena Karmana Partum Nekshasi Yanmoha Karishyasya Vashopi Tat. Under illusion, you are not declining to act according to my direction, but compelled by the word born of your own nature. You will act all the same, O son of Kunti. So here again we notice material nature. It is the material nature that I have accumulated since several lifetimes. It is what I have made out of my material identity. Regarding the bondage of the prejudice of knowledge. So attachment to one's own nature. If one says, no, I'm like this. This is how I am. I like this. I don't like this. I get angry. I shout. I scream. That's how things are. Then we cannot progress in Krishna consciousness. You have to allow Krishna to destroy your material nature. And it can be done. There's nothing Krishna cannot do. I cannot do it, obviously. Krishna can do. He can change our nature completely. When we develop unbreakable faith in Krishna consciousness and progress in Krishna consciousness, then our very nature, our very tastes, our things that we are attracted by, things that we are repelled by, these things change, completely change. That Mrigari, hunter, he had a taste for half killing animals and enjoying by seeing those animals and birds suffer. Nature totally changed when Narada Muni ordered him to chant uninterruptedly, and in renunciation and detachment actually made him give up everything, made him focused, made him sit in front of Tulasi and chant, and with no more sinful activity, absolutely put a full stop. So that then when he executed it with full faith in the instructions of Sri Narada Muni, then his very nature changed, his taste changed. Now he is no longer interested in torturing animals. Now he cannot even see an ant dying. You cannot even cause you cannot even cause an ant to suffer in any manner. His very nature changed. It's not that forever our nature will be imprisoned, will imprison us. We'll be imprisoned by that. That's a misconception. Krishna wants to change our nature, and we should agree to be changed. Otherwise, it will take several lifetimes until we agree to change our nature. That's all. It's either now or later. You can decide when you want. Krishna is willing to do everything now. So that is attachment to one's nature. Regarding the bondage of the prejudice of knowledge, and there are also attachments to, just as there are attachments towards activities which cause us to experience sensual pleasure, there are also attachments to understanding this world. One is the prejudice of activity, and the other is the prejudice of knowledge. There will always be some who are attracted to tamasic worldviews. There will always be some who are attracted to rajasic worldviews. There will always be some who are attracted to sattvic worldviews. And there will be some who will be searching for a worldview that's beyond these three, subconsciously. This is all happening subconsciously. Regarding the bondage of the prejudice of knowledge, the Bhagavad Gita says, Tatra Sattvam Nivat Prakashkamanayam Sukha Sangyena Badhnati Jnana Sangyena Chanadha. The mode of goodness, being purer than others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. They're conditioned. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan comments, Jnanyaham Sukhyaham Ityabhimanas Tena Purusham Vibhadhanati. I'm wise, I'm happy. By this pride, the living entity is bound by goodness. People's association with karma and jnana is a result of attachment born from the prejudices of one's nature that are produced from past karma and jnana. I engage in sinful activity, then later on in this life or in the next life, I become sinful by nature. I engage in pious activities, and later on in this life or in the next life, I become pious by nature. In the previous verse, the Mayavadi's bondage of jnana is displayed. Regarding the karmis, the Bhagavad Gita says, Na buddhi bhedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani Vidvan yukta samachar, so as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitful results of prescribed duties. A learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. From ancient prejudices, one develops association with karma and jnana. Association with these ancient prejudices is inevitable. Despite all attempts up to suicide, one cannot give up one's prejudice. The prejudices or attachments for good and bad attained in this life due to association are called modern prejudices. Everyone in the world is under the control of these two kinds of prejudices. When a living entity is not bound by Maya, then by nature he is a servant of Krishna. Being bound by Maya, a living entity cannot give up ancient and modern wicked prejudices. At that time, ancient wicked prejudices become his second nature. Only Sadhu Sangha can reform the attachment to prejudices. Sadhu Sangha is the only remedy for restlessness. Sadhu Sangha refers to those who have the guna and karma of a sadhu as described in Srimad Bhagavatam. That is a statement. here. Titikshava Karidika Suhrida Sarvadena Ajata Shatravashanta Sadhavas Sadhabhushana. The symptoms of a sadhu are that he is tolerant, merciful, friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies. He is peaceful. He abides by the scriptures. And all his characteristics are sublime. So unless one submissively associates with sadhus, that means he agrees to be influenced by sadhus. And a sadhu can have impact to whatever degree he is pure. There are different degrees of purity. At the lowest level of purity is okay, let me explain it like this. First of all, when one progresses in Krishna consciousness, one becomes uninterruptedly dharmic. Kleshagni, Shubhata, one attains auspicious qualities, which itself means one comes to the platform of being dharmic. He never touches on dharma. The dharma is of two types, sinful activities and offenses. So he does not he does not engage in sinful activities or dharma or offenses. So, Nirantara dharmic. Then he comes to the point of being uninterruptedly sattvic. Then he comes to the point of being fully pure. Fully pure. So, in the first stage, he is uninterruptedly dharmic. Let me say like this. The second stage is dharmic and is sattvic. It's not yet uninterruptedly pure. The third phase comes to this platform. One has come to the third platform. He is engaged in pure sadhana bhakti. This is the green mantle. This will develop further. This is Uttama Bhakti. So, when we talk about associating with sadhus, we should keep that in mind. Unless one reforms his attachment to prejudices, one cannot attain perfection in devotional service by any means. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sangoya Samsriter Hetu Asatsu Vihito Dhya Saeva Sadhushu Krito Nisangat Vaya Kalpate. Association for sense gratification is certainly the path of bondage. But the same type of association performed with a saintly person leads to the path of liberation, even if performed without knowledge. Due to association with materialistic people, the living entity is bound in the cycle of birth and death. The moment we associate emotionally with others, we become subjected to their consciousness, their state of consciousness, their attachments and aversions and so on. And then it becomes more and more difficult to progress in Krishna consciousness. There are various anarthas that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has referred to in Bhajan Rahasya. And to whatever degree we are not sufficiently serious in Krishna consciousness, to that degree, these anarthas, they engulf us. Maya mugdhasya jivasya gyeyo narthas chaturvidaha shraddauvalyam chaparatho satrishna tattuvibhramaha. The anarthas of the living entities enchanted by Maya are of four kinds: misconceptions about reality, inappropriate desires, offenses, and weaknesses of heart. Tattva-vibhrama, misconceptions about reality. Swatatve varatatve cha sathya sadhana tattvayo virodhe vishaye chaiva tattvam brahmas chaturvidhaha. There are four kinds of misconceptions about reality. Misconceptions regarding the nature of the jiva, regarding his own nature. He is a jiva and he has a misconception about the nature of the jiva. Misconceptions regarding the nature of the Supreme Lord. Misconceptions about the nature of the goal of spiritual life and the means to attain that goal. And misconceptions about the nature of obstacles to spiritual progress. You need to understand this thoroughly. If you think that it doesn't matter, whatever may be the case, I'm engaged in certain activities of Krishna consciousness and therefore automatically I'll make spiritual progress. That is false. It is simply false. It is simply false. We need to avoid all offenses, all sinful activities, and we need to engage in increasing Krishna consciousness. There are so many things we need to do. So if I have a misconception about what is an obstacle, what is not an obstacle, to what degree it is an obstacle, to what degree it is not an obstacle. I have a misconception about what is the goal. What is the goal? The goal is just to go to the spiritual world and enjoy a disco party there. No, the goal is to go and serve Krishna uninterruptedly, with no motive other than to please him and those who please him. The means to attain that goal. These things have to become clear. Asat Trishna, inappropriate desires. Aishikesh Vaishana, Padatrikesh Chaishana Shubha, Bhuti Vancha Muksha Yasat Trishna Chaturvidha. There are four types of inappropriate desires. Desires for material pleasures attainable in this life. Desires for auspicious material pleasure attainable in the next life. Desires for mystic powers and desires for liberation. So these desires, the very presence of these desires indicates that there are anarthas. These are all anarthas. These desires are themselves anarthas. Aparadha, offenses. Krishna Nāmāśraya-bhakti tadiyachit kaneshacha yeya budhaganair nityam aparadha chaturvidha. The learned should always understand that the four kinds of offenses are offenses to Krishna's holy name, offenses to Krishna's deity form, offenses to his devotees, and offenses to the jivas who are Krishna's spiritual parts and parcels. Hridaya dalbalya, weaknesses of heart. Uchchasakti kutinati matsaryam supratishtata. Hridaubalyam budhaishashvat gyeyam kuna chaturvidham. The learned should always understand that weakness of heart is of four kinds. Attachment for the insignificant. Attachment for insignificant goals. Attachment for insignificant activities. Attachment for insignificant persons or things. Attachment for the insignificant. Hypocrisy or deceit. Envy, jealousy. Desire for prestige or position. These are all anarthas. So when we make spiritual progress, when we attain association of bona fide saints, then these anarthas will lessen. If our desire to chant more does not increase, our desire to chant more decreases. Our desire to serve Krishna does not increase. Our desire to serve Maya increases. And when we notice these anarthas are increasing rather than decreasing, we know we are doing something wrong. And association plays a major role in that. Due to association with materialistic people, the living entity is bound in the cycle of birth and death. Even if one unknowingly associates with the materialist, the result must come. And if one unknowingly associates with the real sadhu, he attains freedom from material association. Again, in Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, Sri Bhagavan Vacham, Na bodhayati mam yogo, na sankhya dharma evacha, na swadhyayas tapastyaga, neshtapurkam na dakshina, pratani yaschandamsi tirthani niyamayama, yathavarandhi satsanga sarvasanga pahohima. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Uddhava, by associating with my pure devotees, one can destroy one's attachment for all objects of material sense gratification. Such purifying association brings me under the control of my devotee. One may perform the Ashtanga Yoga system. That means one may engage in Ashtanga Yoga, engage in philosophical analysis of the elements of material nature, practice non-violence and other ordinary principles of piety, chant the Vedas, perform penances, take to the renounced order of life, execute sacrificial performances and dig wells, plant trees and perform other public welfare activities, give in charity, carry out severe vows, worship the demigods, chant confidential mantras, visit holy places or accept major and minor disciplinary injunctions. But even by performing such activities, one does not bring me under his control. These are all helpful in bringing us to the mode of goodness. That's all. Association with prejudices is very dangerous. By affectionately associating with pure devotees of the Lord, one's association with prejudices in the form of karma and jnana is destroyed. Due to this association with prejudices, a living entity's propensity for ignorance and passion becomes stronger. Whatever propensities for goodness, passion, and ignorance are seen in people's eating, sleeping, and sensual activities are all due to association with prejudices. Dharmis and Gyanis disrespect Vaishnavas only due to this attachment for prejudices. Until the attachment to prejudices is destroyed, the 10 offenses in chanting will not be uprooted. If we simply keep thinking within our own world, we all have our own worlds, stuck in our own conceptions, stuck in our own upbringings, or our life experience, as I say, then you are gone. It's very, very difficult to make spiritual progress. In Krishna consciousness, if one wants to make tangible progress in Krishna consciousness, one has to learn to ignore all of these conceptions that he has learned in his life. Anything which does not match the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam as presented by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his liberated followers like Rupa Goswami. It should just be neglected. Not to be gone stuck in our own conceptions for your whole life, life after life after life. Offenses at the feet of sadhus is due to being proud of one's karma and jnana. The offense in chanting in the form of blaspheming devotees enters the heart of the non-devotee and takes up residence there. Worldly attachment is contrary to acceptance of Krishna's undisputed supremacy, and it therefore does not allow the unfortunate living entity to fully surrender to the Lord. Thus, disobeying the spiritual master, blaspheming the Vedic literatures, interpreting the holy name, considering the chanting of the holy names as equal to the pious activities offered in the Vedas, committing sinful activities while pretending to chant the holy name, aversion due to conceptions of I and I, selling the holy names to unfit persons. All these offenses against the holy names continue. In such a condition, how can one be benefited? Therefore, it is said, Asadbhis sahasangastu na kartavyah kadachana yasmat sarvarthahani syad adharpatascha jayate. One should never associate with materialistic persons, for by doing so, all one's assets are lost and he falls from his position. It has been seen that many fortunate souls have given up attachment for prejudices by the association of pure Vaishnavas. From the scriptures, it is well known that by the association of Śrī Narada Muni, the hunter Mrigari and Ratnakar, Valmiki attained auspiciousness. The foremost instruction of Śrī Ramanujacharya is this: if you cannot purify yourself by any endeavor whatsoever, then just go sit with the Vaishnavas and you will achieve all auspiciousness. So sit with Vaishnavas who are in good standing. And of course, we need to progress. We're talking of advanced Vaishnavas, at least Vaishnavas more advanced than oneself. We should ensure that we don't contaminate them. and bring them back to our degraded condition. By observing the pure characteristics of a devotee, in a very short time, a person's mind is changed. His attachment for sense enjoyment decreases, and the seedling of bhakti sprouts in the heart. On the other hand, by observing the impure characteristics of a deceitful devotee, the opposite takes place. In a very short time, a person's mind is changed and his attachment for sense enjoyment increases. And the seedling of bhakti does not grow, rather it starts with becoming injured in some manner or other. But if one engages in proper service, if one associates with genuine Vaishnavas, then he changes in the positive direction. One even gradually develops a taste for the Vaishnavas' food and behavior. On the other hand, if we associate with non-devotees, then we start developing a desire for eating whatever they eat, liking whatever they like, or whatever they respect, whatever they value. We have seen how by associating with Vaishnavas, people have given up many answers. Taste for associating with women, thirst for wealth, desire for sense enjoyment and liberation, inclination for karma and jnana, eating meat and fish, drinking wine, smoking tobacco, and the desire to chew pan. By observing a Vaishnava's quality of not uselessly wasting time, many people have easily given up answers such as laziness, oversleeping, useless talk, urge of speech, etc. We have also seen that by associating with Vaishnavas for some time, someone's cheating propensity and desire for fame have been destroyed. This means that they have associated without duplicity, without diplomacy. We have seen with our own eyes that by associating with Vaishnavas with a little affection, all other associations such as attachment for prejudices has been vanquished. Those who are attached to winning fights, those who are expert at attaining dominion, those who are eager to accumulate great wealth, all such types of people have attained devotional service by being purified in the association of Vaishnavas. Even the hearts of persons who think I will defeat the world by my arguments and attain supremacy have been pacified. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is speaking this on the basis of his own preaching experience. Of course, it takes a person who's so pure to make others pure. When the recipients of his mercy agree to carry out his instructions, that is also there. Even the hearts of persons who think I will defeat the world by my arguments and attain supremacy have been pacified. Without the association of Vaishnavas, there is no alternative for rectifying the attachment for prejudices. One should carefully give up attachment for material assets. People in general have spontaneous attachment for household paraphernalia, clothes, ornaments, wealth, wife and children's health, their own health, eatables, trees and animals. Some people are so addicted to smoking, chewing pan, eating fish and meat, and drinking alcohol that their practice of spiritual life is obstructed. Many people do not respect the Lord's remnants out of great attachment to eating things like fish because of the desire to constantly smoke. Many people's study of devotional scriptures, relish for hearing and chanting, and remaining long in temples is obstructed. Attachment for these things is averse to the constant practice of devotional service. When we engage in sinful activities, we are unable to engage in the activities of pure devotional service. These are opposite. I engage in one, then I develop an aversion for the other. Vice versa. Both ways. If one does not carefully give up these things, he cannot get happiness from his devotional service. Attachment for these things is easily destroyed by the association of devotees. more advanced devotees are naturally more simple in their life, not just in their behavior, but even in their possessions. They don't possess things which cause them to become entangled in material existence. Whatever needs to be possessed in order to carry out our material or spiritual duties, that, and if it doesn't entangle us further in material existence, that can be possessed. But anything which increases our entanglement in material existence, anything which increases our addiction to vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jihva vegam, robasta vegam, that is totally unnecessary. Neither it gives a spiritual realization, enlightenment, nor does it even help us to come to the mode of goodness, with which is the optimal platform to deal with material existence. Attachment for these things is easily destroyed by the association of devotees. Still, one should try to destroy these petty attachments by fully engaging in devotional service. By observing vows approved in devotional service, those attachments are vanquished. By properly observing Harivasa. Harivasa means the day of Lord Hari. Ekadashi refers to Ekadashi. And appearance days of the Lord. Those attachments are vanquished. The rules of such vows are provisions for diminishing one's attachments. There are prescriptions for practicing devotional service while giving up all types of enjoyment on those days. There are two types of eatables, those which sustain one's life and those which gratify the senses. Eating grains and drinking are life-sustaining. Fish, meat, pan, intoxicants, and smoking are all for gratifying the senses. On days of vows, unless one totally gives up sense-gratifying items, it is not a vow. As far as possible, life-sustaining items should also be given up. The basic idea is this. Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maithuna. These are four core or foundational material activities. In material existence, we are trying to spice up these four activities with various forms of sense enjoyment, mind enjoyment. But the basic idea in Krishna consciousness is to increase Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Satyam, Atma Nivedanam, while decreasing Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maithuna. Maithuna first, Bhaya next, Nidra next, Ahara next. So they need to be reduced. If these activities, it is not that when we engage in eating in Krishna consciousness, sleeping in Krishna consciousness, or defending in Krishna consciousness, which translates into earning money, or engagement in sexual activity in Krishna consciousness. One should not think that these are standard activities of Hari Bhakti, because the standard activities of Hari Bhakti, Navavita Bhakti, are meant to be increased. We have never been told to decrease the activities of Navavita Bhakti. But Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maithuna have to be decreased and eventually given up. It's not just, so therefore it is not devotional service. This is one of the first things we learn when we study the writings of the great acharyas like Vishwanath-Chakravarti. Very carefully he delineates what is bhakti and what is not bhakti. So simply me, I'm eating, okay, I'm eating Krishna Prasadam. That is simply my Jihva Vega and Udara Vega, which have been somehow overcoated with Krishna consciousness. That's all. It's not the same as the 64 items of devotion service or the 9 items of Navavita Bhakti that we learn. One is meant to be increased, one is meant to be decreased. Even while decreasing, there are certain things, certain forms of these 4 activities which we absolutely reject. Then there are certain other forms which we accept. But even though we accept, we still want to decrease, bring it to the point 0. That is what is called spiritual progress. If we don't understand, have a basic idea of this roadmap, what is it? If you examine the life of Raghunath Das Goswami, from Raghunath Das Adhikari to Raghunath Das Goswami, that is the pathway that Lord Chaitanya has shown for us. That is what Gaudiya Vaishnava, male body or female body, that is the pathway. It is a standard pathway. It is the same pathway which was taught by each of the liberated acharyas up to Srila Prabhupada. That is the same pathway which will work for eternity. It is Sanatana Dharma in the highest sense. That is the pathway. One of the limbs of a brata is to diminish the devotee's propensity for enjoyment. If one thinks, today somehow or other I will renounce, but tomorrow I will enjoy profusely, then the purpose of the vow will not be successful. The reason is that vows have been prescribed to give up the association of such items by gradual practice. Vows are usually for 3 days. First by practicing vows for 3 days, then by practicing for 1 month, then by practicing for 4 months, Chaturmasya. In this way, gradually one should completely uproot the attachment for sense-gratifying items and leave them forever. For those who cannot remember the statements of Bhagavad Gita, Kshipram Bhavati Dharmatma, he quickly becomes righteous. In regard to the observance of vows, their renunciation is temporary like the bathing of an elephant. In other words, if we don't quickly get back to the state of a Vaishnava in good standing, then our engagement in Krishna consciousness resembles the bathing of an elephant. I'm engaged in various activities of Krishna consciousness, and I'm engaged in the activities of Maya. Continuously shuttling between this and this, this and this, this and this, this and this, this and this. How much of spiritual progress have I made? I may be considered as a senior devotee by those who seem to take to Krishna consciousness at a later point in time. But if you examine in terms of accomplishment, what have we accomplished? It's like earning money. I might have been a crorepati at some point in time. But right now, I have a savings of 20,000 rupees and I have a job for 4,500 rupees a month. This is what I am now. I'm an ex-crorepati, not a crorepati now. We need to examine what it is now. Are we going up? We are meant to go up, not go up and come down. So these are things which we need to carefully examine. When we try to increase our chanting, then we begin to understand whether we are progressing or regressing, and Krishna will also give us guidance on what we need to do to modify our life. We need to, Krishna is all demanding. There's no, Krishna will not compromise. And he will help in every possible manner, and every impossible manner also Krishna will. It is our duty to accept Krishna's help and agree to progress. For those who desire to attain pure devotional service, the association of non-devotees and women is meant to be given up. It is extremely necessary for them to associate with sadhus in order to give up the attachment for prejudices. They must follow all vows meant for Vaishnavas in order to give up the attachment for material objects. One should not be negligent in these practices. One should follow these instructions with great care and respect. If one does not follow carefully, then cheating in the form of duplicity renders the whole endeavor useless. For those who do not have respect in this regard, attaining devotion to Sri Hari becomes very rare even after hearing for many births. So, if we become duplicitous, diplomatic, even after many lifetimes, it is not possible to attain pure devotional service unto the lotus feet of Lord Sri Hari. When we should understand when the 6 urges are increasing, then we know that we are regressing, we have displeased Krishna in some manner. And it is our duty to find out what it is. And it is our duty to ensure that we put ourselves in a position where we can progress in Krishna consciousness. We become stronger and stronger. Not that we continually function in situations which weaken our Krishna consciousness. What is association and giving up association? Many people have doubts about this. Doubts may be there because if just by coming close to a materialist or material object is considered associating with them, then there is no way to give up this association. As long as the material body is there, how can one give up the proximity of these things? How can one not be near these things? How can a Grihastha Vaishnava give up his family members? One cannot give up the association of deceitful persons even if they are renunciates. One will have to come across materialists in one's life, whether one is a Grihastha or a renunciate. Therefore, the limit for giving up the association of materialists is prescribed in Śrī Upadeśāmṛta as follows: materialists and the opposite gender. That's included. Dadati pratikrihnati guhyamakhyati prichyati bhukte bhojayate chaiva shadvidham priti lakshanam. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasadam, and offering prasadam are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. This, with affection, when we engage in these 6 activities with affection, in an interaction with another person, that is called personal association. For sadhakas, one must accept proximity with both bad and good people as one passes his life. This applies equally to householders and renunciates. Proximity must be there. Nevertheless, one should not engage in bad association. Giving in charity, accepting charity, revealing one's mind, hearing one's mind, accepting foods and giving foods, if done with love, these are called sangha or association. Giving some foodstuffs to a hungry person and accepting some charity from a pious man is done out of duty, not out of love. See, that's a distinction between duty and love. We are meant to carry out our various activities with duty, with a sense of duty. This is what Krishna has ordained in the scriptures. This is what has been successfully implemented by the saintly authorities in the past as a demonstration. Therefore, this is what I should do. It is duty, not love. There's no emotional masala in it. Even if they are materialists, this type of engagement is not considered association. But if they are pure devotees, then such activities are performed out of love. So these 6 activities are performed out of love when we are personally interacting with pure Vaishnavas. When acts are performed out of love, then it is association. Therefore, giving charity to pure Vaishnavas and accepting items or wealth from them becomes satsanga. Giving charity to a materialist or accepting charity from one, if done out of love, becomes asatsanga. When materialist approaches you, whatever is required to be done should be done only out of duty. Kartavya palana. Kartavya. One should not speak confidentially with a materialist. See these 6 activities that we see here. Dadati pratikrihnati guhyamakhyati prichyati bhukte bhojayate chaiva shadvidham priti lakshanam. These are 6 symptoms of love. Well, maybe earlier. These 6 activities: giving in charity, accepting something that is given in charity, revealing one's mind and confidence, trying to understand someone else's mind and confidence, accepting foodstuffs, giving foodstuffs. These are the 6 symptoms of love, but they can also be executed without love, simply out of duty. So when we engage in these activities, according to Vedic Dharma, according to scriptural injunctions, out of duty, not out of love, then that does not become association. So in family life, one is sometimes obligated to deal with non-devotees in various ways, according to scriptural injunctions. There are particular ways by which we interact with particular types of family members. So when we do that, simply because it is our duty, Krishna has given this duty for me, and I have to do it. That's all. That is all. Not out of a special affection and this and that. Then that is not evil association. One should not speak confidentially with a materialist. Generally, there is some love involved in confidential speaking. Therefore, it is association. While meeting a materialistic friend, one should speak only what is extremely necessary. At that time, it is better not to exhibit heartfelt love. But if that friend is a proper Vaishnava, then one should accept his association by speaking to him with love. This type of behavior with relatives and friends creates no hostility. There is no association in ordinary talk. One should behave with ordinary people as one externally behaves with a stranger while buying something in the market. In other words, we are going on a journey. We are going somewhere. It's like when you go in a train or something. Say let's say a group of 4 devotees are going to some holy place. They're catching a train and they're going somewhere. And then in the train compartment, you come across so many others. And we are polite, cordial. But basically, that's it. That's all. So it is like that. Those who have taken to Krishna consciousness and who want to attain the perfection of sadhana bhakti, they are traveling, they're going somewhere. And we're coming across so many others in our life. And we deal with them properly, cordially, politely, respectfully. Full stop. That's it. Nothing else. The same dealings with the pure devotee of the Lord should be done out of love. If one is obliged to feed hungry people, needy people, and teachers, he should do so as a host dutifully cares for his guest. There's no need to exhibit love. Care for them, but not out of love. Care for them out of duty only, not out of love. One should feed pure Vaishnavas, not only as a duty, but also with love. And when required, accept the remnants given by them with love, not just as a duty. If one can behave in this way while giving in charity, accepting charity, speaking confidentially, hearing confidentially, feeding and accepting food with one's wife, children, servants, maidservants, strangers, and whoever else one meets, there will be no unholy association, only good association. There is no hope of achieving devotion to Krishna until one gives up unholy association in this way. The renunciate Vaishnava should accept whatever alms he receives by madhukari or begging at the house of an honest householder with the above mentioned consideration. He should always remember the difference between gross begging and madhukari. The Grihastha Vaishnava should accept prasad, grains and drinks in the house of another Grihastha who has pure character. One should always be cautious about taking prasad in the house of a non-devotee and one with bad character. There is no need to speak further about this. One should avoid the association of even those who have taken to Krishna consciousness and who engage in forbidden activities. Due to their pious activities, those who have developed faith in devotion service have a little intelligence by the mercy of Krishna. Due to that intelligence, they can easily understand the essence of the Acharya's instructions. Therefore, only a few words are needed to instruct them. Those who have no pious credits have no faith. Even if they are given volumes of instruction, they will not understand a thing. Therefore, Śrīla Rupa Goswami has given only a few words of instruction in Śrī Upadeśāmṛta. This explains why Śrī Upadeśāmṛta is a very short work, only 11 verses. Because those who have Bhakti Sukriti, they will be able to easily get it. Whereas those who don't have Bhakti Sukriti, even if you speak to them with encyclopedias of information on Krishna consciousness, they will not understand. Isham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridam. Unless one comes to the point where he has become sinless in activity as well as in thinking, feeling, cannot engage in firm devotional service. Okay, let me make a note. First, let me look at chat. Should Shraddha ceremonies be carried on by Grasa Vaishnavas? Yes. But they should follow Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami's rules for how to do these things. Nirantara Dharmik includes 0 offenses too. Actually, all the offenses are the worst form of adharma. Just as Bhagavad Bhakti is the highest form of punya, similarly, Vishnu Vaishnava Aparad are the worst forms of adharma. In fact, Srila Jiva Goswami writes in Bhakti Sandarbha that these are symptoms of a pashanti. It looks like those who have given up Vedic authority engage in these 10 types of offenses. The more I read about them, the more I understand how serious it is. A very serious matter. Kindly share those activities in 4 items which should be completely rejected and others which should be accepted with desire to decrease gradually. What 4 items? Ahara, Nidra, Bhayam should be made 0. Eventually, that's our goal. Our goal is to execute Krishna consciousness without these. But first of all, before all that, first of all, we should become dharmic. Giving up ahara, nidra, bhayam, that can come later on. But first of all, we should become dharmic. And which means just standard rules and regulations of Vedic dharma that needs to be accepted. Is disagreeing to take a book, don't know about authenticity of that book being written by devotee in Hindi from an old and senior in initiation devotee Mataji, a symptom of disrespecting or offense to that Vaishnava. I don't know, you have to see the situation. You can ask your spiritual master or his representative. I don't know the situation, and there are also ways to not irritate devotees while holding on to one's principles. Many things we learn. Gradually we become tame. When we submit to Krishna's holy names, gradually we learn. Okay, anything else? All right. Panchakalpatarubhyasya, Kripasanithyavacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavabhyo Namaha.